morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. What we're going to do today is a little lesson in diversity. To be successful in construction, we've learned over years that you have to be diverse. Meaning, if you're going to build new houses, you better fix old houses. You know, sometimes the economy's up and down. You won't have a time where they're not going to want to build new houses. And if you're going to keep doing carpenter work and keep eating, you're going to have to fix old houses. So here at Fixing the Coast, BrianWashingtonConstruction.com, we do a lot of restoration on older homes. This one being built in 1906. It's a house that's on a national registry. We love working on it. Our customer is a very good steward of the property, takes very good care of it, and maintains it very well. We actually came here to do this set of handrails on a balcony on this big dormer. And once we started doing the handrails, found a little rot here and there. Roofers came, changed his roof because we had 6 hurricanes this year. So he had some shingles missing. And as they started taking the shingles off, we got up here noticing that this wooden siding was buckling. All right, so at one time, this siding, when it was put on, started pulling away from the wall. So some other guys came in, I guess lower bidder guys, came in and put screws through the siding. Big no-no in South Louisiana. We try not to have exposed fasteners anywhere because they'll rust. Caulk doesn't seal around them, rain gets behind them. So the objective for this job was to come in, pull this siding off, and put a better siding, But once we started pulling the siding off, we ran into some surprises, like you're always gonna have on older homes, right? Okay, come back right here. This house was built with wooden shake. Not just any wooden shake, but cypress wooden shake. South Louisiana, not wood outside isn't gonna stay great outside if it's not good wood, right? We try to use the same species that's grown here that does well in our swamps. So when you put on the house, it's gonna last. This was actually made out of cypress in the early 1900s. So the surprise that we had once we started pulling this siding off on the other side of the house is this. This was on the siding. So once our homeowner, who's a great steward of his property, saw that the original cypress shake was hidden under this nasty old siding, our objective didn't change. Now we're in a restoration process. So what we're gonna do today is actually hand make some cypress siding, because you're not gonna find this in any local Walmart. And we're not in the Northeast, so it's not something that's readily handy for us. We're gonna have to sit down and make it. So y'all hang on, here we go. Well, yeah, this is the original cypress shake, right? So our objective right now is gonna be to replicate this, giving the materials on hand and the tools that we have available to us. All right, so if you can tell you, we've done a few, right? Not an easy task. So the way we do it, cypress, it's not actually the antique swamp cypress that we have grown here. It's actually illegal to cut those. They're are protected. So what we use is river cypress. It's grown in Mississippi. It's a nice grain, and it's still cypress. So the way we do it, it only comes in 2x12s, or it comes a little bit smaller, but this is stuff that's available to us. So we'll take a 2x12, and then we cut into a small section, and then we rip that section on our table saw. Not for the faint of heart. Watch your fingers. And then we take each section with a hand sander and sand off this bevel. Now I'm sure there's a 1,000 different ways to do this. A lot easier, a lot better. This is the tools we have on hand, this is the materials we have on hand, and this is the task on hand. So that's part of being a carpenter, is being able to invent stuff day to day, because you never know what you're gonna get. You never know what's gonna be on site. You never know what materials you have or what tools you have. And at the end of the day, the goal is always to get to the end of the day. Here we go.
Alright guys, so the first step, I'm going to take my skill saw and we're going to cut it into more manageable sizes for ripping on the table saw. So we need some 16 inch pieces as an end goal. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut them 32, which is two 16-inch pieces. It's easier to rip a 32-inch piece. You can hold it better and it's easier on the table saw. So we're going to cut a bunch of 32s, then show y'all how we rip them on the table saw and then size them from there.
Hey, explain to them why you're using that skill saw instead of that expensive model box you got set up in the yard over there.
Alright, well, the reason we're using skill saws because in the early 1900s, they didn't have skill saws, they didn't have model saws, they didn't have table saws. They were literally on job site using hand saws, so they had imperfections throughout everything they were cutting. The rips, the square cuts, everything had a little bit of slight of imperfection because it was all done by hand. So our best way to replicate that is to go by hand, but new school by hand. So the little bit of variance and I guess you could say imperfections that the skill saw is going to give me will help us better match the old wood, because if everything's perfect on the new wood, then it's going to look crazy up to the old wood and won't let us blend as good. So that gives you all a little explanation of why we do it.
Alright guys, step 2, we're going to rip these into smaller sections, and then we're going to actually turn them vertical and rip them in half. Alright guys, now we got them into a little bit more manageable piece, right? This is actually going to be 4 different pieces. We're going to rip it in half, and then we're going to cut it in half again. Now this is one of those things where don't try this at home. This is not for the faint of heart. If you cut your fingers off, don't call me. I don't want to hear it. I told you not to do it. Now we're going to take them, cut them in half, and then on to the sanding process. Using our skill saw, we're going to make another cut.
Cut 3 at a time. Cut our blade deeper. Now we have 6 ready to go to the sanding process.
All right, y'all. We got Marlon over here looking like he's playing Mortal Kombat. All right, Marlon, explain to him what you're doing.
Well, after they shave the boards, cut them in half, and split them into the size that I need, I clamp them down. And in order to get a bevel, I start from whatever side I want to be the top, which is the smaller side is going to be the top. The bottom is the thicker side that's going to stick out. The tops are small in order for you to slide them underneath each other. You have to put them at a bevel so they can slide in between each sheet. You start from one side and you slowly work your way up.
Show them how you do it. right, y'all. Coco got us a little head start, kind of taking these nasty screws out where they would come out. Now we're gonna show you guys the rest of the process, and you'll get to see this ancient cypress shake that hasn't seen the light of sun the last 80 years or so. All right, boys, go for it. As you can tell, this stuff was installed real well. All right, let's see what's behind that. Incredible, y'all. It's the first time in about 80 years this stuff has seen sunlight.
Still solid.
Yep. All right, boys, let's make it right. Guys, this is why we're adding a little trim piece at the bottom. This is the original issue why they covered up this shake in the beginning. When the house was built, they never used metal flashing originally. It was just pitch and tar in the corners. This also had cypress shake here and cypress shake here with the valleys pitched. Well, over time, you know, wood pitch didn't last. So one time when they came back to take the wood shake off the houses and put shingles, they put this metal galvanized flashing, which is great, still works, still functions well. But to be able to put the flashing, they had to cut back the cypress shake. And being roofers, no offense if anybody's a roofer, but sometimes y'all not the best carpenters. They were kind of stuck with a dilemma, you know. Do they go and make cypress shake, which roofers don't do that, or what they do with it, right? So they cut the cypress shake back just enough to be able to put their flashing in, and then they covered it up with that siding, right? So with the siding coming over the flashing, that's what helped to prevent it from leaking right here. So the dilemma we have after pulling all this siding back off is to what we do now. Well, we have to kind of achieve the same thing that we're trying to achieve with the flashing. We have to get metal behind wood. So what we're gonna do is cut up a little bit higher into the cypress. Also cutting away a lot of the nastiness. Slide our Z flashing behind that. Put our cypress trim right here, and then we'll accomplish the same thing that they were trying to do with the siding, but a little more authentic to our build, where the water will just run down, hit our Z flash and run over our trim, get far enough away from this, and then not leak. All right, remember guys, this whole day, this whole video is not a lesson of how to make cypress shake. It's not a lesson on this is the way you hold this is the way you cut this. It's not, right? This whole lesson today is about thinking on your feet. If you're gonna do remods, you better think on your feet all day long. Everything's gonna change. What's normal will be flipped upside down and inside out. Be prepared for anything. What you see us doing today is an adjustment. All right. So on the fly, we had to figure out what we were gonna do with this beautiful stuff. How were we gonna restore it? How are we gonna make it? I know there's 1,000 videos out on how to make wood shake, how to install it. This is not the one. We're at a spot where we have a limited amount of time, a limited amount of materials, a limited amount of tools. We don't have 2 weeks to order a bunch of wood shake from somewhere else. We don't have time to sit on eBay figuring out the exact tool that we need to change the shake. There's a lot of different bars you can use to take shake out. We just don't have that available. And that's what this lesson today is. It's a lesson in thinking on your feet. You have to be ready for the unknowns. You're dealing with old houses, be ready for God knows what, because that's what's gonna happen. All right, guys, this is another side. We love doing reveals, so we're gonna do one more for you. We already got the screws kind of taken out. So let's see what our surprise is. As you guys can tell, this stuff was installed real well. This section, the lowest bed carpenters didn't actually even nail it. I guess they got frustrated with their nails not holding, so they just went straight to the screws for this one. That's probably why it's coming off so easy. Alright, we're all gonna find out this little 114-year-old mystery together. Ready, Coco? Yeah. Wow.
That's a very pretty dog.
This may be the prettiest side, boy.
I think so. Looks great.
Alright guys, so what you can see is actually where the old flashing is exposed. Alright? Now if we wouldn't do anything about this, it would rain behind it, right into the house. That's the issue why the other guys put the siding over it. Once they installed this old flashing about 70 years ago, they didn't know what to do with the shake. So they just cut it back and put siding over it. Once their siding lapped this, it protected the house from rain. Alright, so what we're gonna do is what they couldn't do, or didn't want to do, or too lazy to do, or didn't have the tools or the means. That's when we pop our line a little higher up, cut back our siding, throw a Z flashing in, put our cypress trim over this flashing, and she's good to go. There you go. Alright guys, now you've seen how we make the shake. You see exactly what our finished product is gonna be. What we're having to do, because this roof was put on with the old siding, is to actually cut back the old cypress siding, cut behind it, install a Z flashing underneath it, coming out to a nice cypress band, and then where our shake is just too rotten or too messed up to use, this is where we're using our new shake. All right, over here we can look at what Coco's doing now. Looks like when we're getting ready to start with our flashing. Coco, explain to them what you're doing.
Right now, I'm gonna pop a line at the bottom 5 inches up, so we can put our Z flashing underneath, and then underneath the flashing we can put our trim piece, and we'll keep it about 1 inch off the roof, so your water's not coming and hitting your trim piece and wickering up.
What did you do with the old stuff?
I took out the nasty pieces that were rotten, falling apart, very brittle. I took them out. I'm gonna cut it up, and then I'm gonna start replacing them with new ones we made. Once we get all that replaced, I'm gonna put our Z flashing.
All right, guys. What we got this morning is Mr. Clayton getting ready to do some priming and painting on our shingles. Tell them what you're doing, Clay.
Well, first I'm cleaning off all the dust and the debris from just over the years. That way the primer and stuff will bond to this a lot better before I paint it. And a lot of spider webs and a few little critters that came out, but we'll caulk it up, seal it all real good, hit it with a coat of primer, and then we'll come back with the paint over it. So
yeah,
nice
good,
little project.
Yeah, right.
For a great customer.
All right, guys. Now our portion's done. It's on to the painters. This is what the caulk job looks like. We try to get everything caulked up, all our seams, all our laps, all our holes, anything that water can pass through. All right, if you follow me up the roof, we're gonna take out the other side and see what it all looks like. kind of the end result for the caulking takes place, for the cleaning takes place. You can see the shape that we changed out. See our little trim that we added. This is a very nice side. Faces the south, doesn't get as much harsh weather as the north, so it looks a little better. This side, we didn't have to change any shake on this side. Just add our trim on the bottom, and a 114-year-old shake still doing its job. Beautiful. Lastly, this little wall that we have to do, imitate the original stuff. Another wall the painter has caulked. Just waiting on some paint. And there you have it. That's how you adapt and overcome. Never know what you're gonna get in this job, never know where it's gonna take you. Just gotta think on your feet. Thank y'all.